What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about why I'm not a fan of killing off Kirby in Scream 6. Now, we talked about the rumor a few days ago about that certain survivors seem to be in danger. Now, the issue with that rumor, right, is it's just a number. The rumor seems to indicate 3 out of the 6 survivors that are, being imported into this movie will be killed off in the movie. So you only have Kirby, Gale, Sam, Tara, Mindy, Chad. Those 6, those are the only ones you're working with. If you kill 3, eventually Kirby's going to enter that discussion, right? And I've had I would say pretty strict thoughts that, no, I'm not about that. But I'm not about that for specific reasons that I want to give you guys those reasons as the video goes on. One quick thing, a little sponsorship kind of thing, but more of like promoting my wife. My wife opened an Etsy store, and she's selling Ghostface cups. Now, there's 8 in stock. It's a limited time run because she's very picky about how many she will do. So if you guys want to check it out, here's what it looks like. You guys can see it right there. Pretty darn good. I'll leave a link to her store in the description below if you guys want to get one. I'm pretty sure she said it ships everywhere. The taxes would be a lot higher. The shipping costs would be a lot higher if you're in places in the world. But if you guys want to pick some up, again, there's 8 of them. Cool Halloween, October thing, and the design is really cool. I think my wife did a phenomenal job, so I'm going to shout her out here, but definitely click the link if you guys want a nice, cool cup. Now, in terms of Kirby, one of the things I've said very specifically about why I don't want her to die is I don't want her to have this sacrificial role in limited capacity. So the tough thing is, right, Dewey, well, I guess that's actually part of it, right? Dewey is part of it because you basically did that with 5, where Dewey is part of this, the legacy cast that comes back, but he's in a teaching role, right? He's a mentor, and at the end of the day, even though he does, I guess at the end of the day, he does kind of sacrifice himself, or he puts himself on the line to save others. I guess his actual death was more of like a mistake on his part. So factually, if Kirby were to literally sacrifice herself to save Sam or Tara, which I think a lot of people think if she were to die, that's how she would do it. She would literally maybe step in front of the killer or something where she would do it. That would be different than Dewey, right? Because Dewey went out of his way. He definitely put himself in harm's way to protect basically Tara, right? But at the end of the day, he could have left with them in the elevator and he would have survived it. But instead, he got out, and that was his choice. So sacrifice maybe isn't the right word for Dewey, but it definitely is close, right? You know what I mean? You could disagree with it for sure, but I really think you're close enough to what you just did. So one issue I have with Kirby being sacrificed is that, again, although it's not necessarily a sacrifice for Dewey, it's pretty close, and you just did that the movie before. Another thing is I don't want her to come back in a limited role only for her to die. Now, this goes with a sacrifice or not a sacrifice. At the end of the day, here's the thing. We actually have like the words coming straight from their mouths, right? That they only did the Easter egg in Scream 5 for Kirby because they didn't want to give her a cameo because they felt that wasn't, say, enough for her character. So I get the discourse around Scream 6 with Kirby where it's like, you're bringing in this character from nowhere. Some people are flat out, factually, not even going to know who she is, which I do understand. I completely get that. In fact, the rumors of the beginning of the movie basically being a flashback to 4 to explain Kirby makes a lot of sense. You could say, well, why are they going to use so much time doing that? Well, you're going to have a lot of people watching 6 that have never seen 4, to be flat out honest, right? So I see that as a good move, and maybe that's a good sign that like Kirby is going to be integral to the film. But as we talked about, judging by, and maybe it's unfair to do this, but judging by length of time on set, Hayden Panettiere, just factually, again, was not on set very long. I can't imagine her character being in this movie for more than, let's say, 15 or so minutes. Now, 15, it may sound low. Like when you see a movie that's 90, 95, 100 minutes long and you say 15, that's probably low. But you think, and people have done some very good time calculations with 5, and like Dewey, Gale, Sydney are all around those like 12 to 15 minutes. They're not in it 20, 25, 30, that's like a Sam kind of thing is when you're getting into that, or like a Richie, right? So when you say 15 is pretty in line with what they did with any of the 3 originals in Scream 5. Now that's fine. Like if you have Kirby in 15 minutes, I'm okay with that. I don't expect her to be in 30 or 40 minutes. Yet again, the catch-22 there, right? And you could probably poke holes, in my kind of logic. I know she can't be in like 30, 40 minutes, but at the same time, I guess my argument is because she's not in it for that length of time, I don't really think it comes across well. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it is to me. That's probably the biggest part of what it is to me, is you love this character so much. You tease her, basically, right? You tease her in 5. You bring her in for 6. It's a huge deal. It really is, okay? You bring her in for 6. You give her 10 to 15 minutes of screen time, and then you kill her at the end of it. Like, I don't want to say things like, how does that show the respect of the directors to, like, these characters? But at a certain point, and we have talked about this before, at a certain point, that does come into question. It does. Maybe not with Kirby. It really probably is more so with Gale, right? We've talked about that before. You kill Dewey. If you kill Gale in 6, suddenly I'm really starting to doubt how much respect they have to Wes's, source material and just these characters in general. You can get away with the Dewey thing. I know to some, I've seen comments, to some people, the Dewey thing was over the line. To some, they've accepted the Dewey death, like they have every right to do it, and they're fine with it. But if you keep going, you're just going to raise more questions, basically. And and maybe it's unfair, but maybe it isn't. Because at the same time, like, these characters, a lot, the originals, let's say the legacy characters, are not theirs. So you are coming into foreign territory, and what you do with those characters is going to be judged. It literally is how it works. There's no way around it. So how you approach them and what you do with them makes a big difference. So with Kirby, and they've even said, right, that she's such a, they really like her. I think to some of them, she's their favorite character. But yet again, I think to some of them, Dewey was also their favorite character as well. I think one of Matt or Tyler, I think their favorite character was Dewey. The other one, I think, could have been either Kirby or Randy. So, this has happened before is basically what I'm getting at. I don't think it's a smart move. I think if you wanted to kill Kirby, you have her be in 6, you have her be in 7, even a similar length of time. Because at least, you do 2 movies, right? And you do 6 and 7. And if she's in both for 15 minutes, well, there's 30 minutes, right? And I get it. Like, they're just numbers in terms of, like, the minutes on screen. But I don't know. I don't know how much respect I will think they have for this character to bring her back, kind of, do the flashback thing. That could be cool. Maybe Emma Roberts is a cameo. Like, that was kind of rumored before anyway. Maybe you get that. There's a lot of coolness there. But then she dies at the end of the movie. But I don't know. I feel like it's going to have a similar, obviously yet different vibe, but similar vibe to killing Dewey, where it's like, if you just didn't continue the Scream franchise, he'd be fine. He'd be an alive character in this lore, in the world of Scream, right? He would have survived. And you have people that think that. And with Kirby, it's kind of the same, where, hey, yet again, like, we don't know if she survives at the end of 4 because it's never made, 1,000% clear. Now they've made it clear. And so, like, is it their right to be able to bring her in and murder her? Again, it really comes down to if she sacrifices herself for Sam. Ooh, that's a tough pill to swallow, because unless Sam is a much better character in 6, because you guys know by now I wasn't the biggest fan of her in 5. So if she sacrifices herself for Sam, it's going to be like, why couldn't you have just let Sam go? If it's Tara, okay, I would understand it a little bit more. But also, again, with the Dewey thing, you just did that. So that's reason number 1, and that's a pretty strong reason. But the bigger reason is just I don't know. At the end of the day, I won't know until I see the film, of course, right? All of these things are just kind of me talking before the film comes out. We will get the full sense when the movie comes out. But my feeling as a individual and who I am right now, I just think having her come back to be in 10, 15 minutes and then you kill her off, I don't think that's enough time. To me, that's almost like you're bringing her back just to kind of show it off. Like, oh, we did it. We brought her back. And now we're going to kill her. Because we can kill her off, and we're going to kill her off. It has that vibe to it. And maybe it doesn't when the movie comes out. But like I said, no matter what happens, you're going to have a similar discourse to the Dewey thing. It's tough. I mean, maybe that's why horror movies don't make it this long with still being quality with, like, an original cast. Because if you kill them off, you're going to upset people. one way or another. I mean, I don't really follow any other, horror films in general. That's my unique qualities. I don't care. But as I've said, like the Gale thing, I think everybody's kind of on board with the Gale thing. And I don't think Kirby is different of a situation than Gale. Like the conversation with, if you kill Gale, what does that mean for their respect of these characters? Like, are you just following Star Wars at that point? All the different things we've talked about. Kirby is different, but I think Kirby is somewhat still in the same boat as killing off like a Dewey. You throw Dewey, Gale, Sydney, and then Kirby. Killing those 4, any of them, muddies the waters and is going to have, again, that like discourse online. They're just going to have to be ready for it. And they already, potentially took the hit with Dewey. The Sydney thing, Sydney not being in this movie. And maybe that's like a third element too. You don't have Sydney. So you have Kirby, and then you kill Kirby off, and oh my god, now you only have Sydney and Gale left. Like, that's it. And who knows? Like, do you want to kill Gale too? Is that kind of a secret you're holding on to for 7? We know that Nev would not come back if they kill Sydney. That's not the reason she didn't come back for this one, but we just know that in general. So Sydney will always be safe as long as Nev holds that, I guess idea in her head. But Gale next then, if Kirby goes, I don't know. I don't know what their plan is. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. Again, click the link in the description. Visit my wife's store, buy a Ghostface cup for you or someone that you know. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.